are some tips on what to say and do during your elevator speech. So your elevator speech should be brief, restricted to 30 to 60 seconds. That's the time it takes to ride an elevator, which is where the name comes from. You don't need to include your entire work history and career objectives. Just, a couple to get your point across in terms of what it is you're looking for in terms of a job. You need to be persuasive. So even though it's a short speech, it should be persuasive enough to spark the listener's interest in your idea, your organization, your background, or whatever it is you're saying to try to get an interview to get the job. You want to share your skills. So your elevator pitch should explain who you are and what qualifications and skills you have. Try to focus on assets that add value in many situations. This is your chance to brag a bit. So avoid sounding boastful, but do share what you bring to the table. And again, remember, it's okay if you don't have job skills, but you do have other skills you've learned through hobbies and interests and being part of teams at different school clubs or sports teams. Practice, practice, practice. The best way to get comfortable with an elevator speech is to practice until the speed and the pitch comes naturally without sounding robotic. So again, in the PowerPoint, I was talking about the difference between sounding like Eeyore or sounding like Tigger talking really fast. So just make sure you're somewhere in the middle there. You'll become comfortable varying the conversation as you practice with it. Try saying your speech to a friend or record it. This will help you know if you're staying within the time limit and giving a coherent message. So for example, with this, I find myself having to record a couple of times because sometimes I'll just forget what I'm going to say or say the wrong thing, or I start talking too fast. So it just goes with how it is. You just have to practice. Make sure that you're flexible. You aren't interviewing for a specific position sometimes, so you want to appear open-minded and flexible. It's your chance to make a great first impression with a potential employer. So, sometimes there are specific positions and sometimes there aren't, right? It might just be that a certain food service place has an opening, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the cashier. It might mean that you're the person who's taking care of bussing the tables or the dishwasher or whatever. Mention your goals. You don't need to get too specific. An overly targeted goal isn't helpful since your pitch will be used in many circumstances and with many different types of people. But do remember to say what you're looking for. For instance, you might say a role in accounting or an opportunity to apply my sales skills to a new market or to relocate to San Francisco with a job in the same industry. So again, this isn't just for high school students looking for their first or second or third job. This is the type of thing you would be using throughout your entire working career. Know your audience and speak to them. In some cases, using jargon can be a powerful move. It demonstrates your industry knowledge. But be wary of using jargon during an elevator pitch, particularly if you're speaking to recruiters who may find the terms unfamiliar and off-putting. So what that means is if you're in a specific industry, let's just say special education, and you're saying, hey, the students in special ed, and they have an IEP, and then they have these goals, and da-da-da, people might not understand what all that means. So just, be careful how you word things, as it says. You don't want to be off-putting. You don't want to turn them off or have them just be like, okay, I have no idea what this person's talking about, and they stop listening to you. And then finally, if possible, have a business card ready. If you have a business card, offer it at the end of the conversation as a way to continue the dialogue. A copy of your resume if you're at a job fair or a professional networking event will also show your enthusiasm and preparedness. And so that helps. Obviously, it might not be something you use right now as a high school student, but as you start to grow in your career, that would be something you'd want to do.